Hello everyone, I'm Insane Frame, welcome on to the channel and welcome to the video. So last video we did Skyrim using only restoration magic and had to use the power of Nurgle, aka using the poison rune to get through the challenge, since that is the only restoration spell we could use to deal damage. Let's hope the Emperor on the Golden Throne forgives us for dwelling in chaos. But today we are not dwelling in chaos, we are going towards cyberpunk, and cyberpunk is notorious for lots of cyberware, awesome weapons, and it actually gets pretty crazy what this game lets you do. And the Phantom Liberty DLC is also pretty darn cool. There's lots of toys about that you can find in the world and use, however all of this requires one thing: resources. And resources in particular that we'll need is money. But money is the backbone to upgrading and making yourself more powerful. But today we're going to do cyberpunk without using any cash. There is one point in the run, however, where we have to pay Rogue 15 grand, and in Phantom Liberty there is a story where we have to buy poker chips. These are our only exceptions to spending cash, since we can only progress the story by doing these two events. If we use money in any way, shape or form, even to buy ammo, then the run is over right there. So beat on the brats is impossible for us to do, since we have to wager money, and many services such as Ripperdocs require you to pay money to acquire cyberware. And the big challenge for us at the very least is upgrading things, as they require parts, and you guessed it, cold hard cash. So already you can start to see how limited we are, and crafting is going to be the backbone of this playthrough for sure. A lot of you would say iconic weapons and armor are the way forward, and you'd be right, but I'm also going to go a step further and impose a ban on all iconic items, so we can only sell them or store them in our apartments. So yeah, this run we are pretty much limited with our equipment, but we can still use multiple different playstyles and weapon types, so there is that. But I think a good playstyle that avoids any conflict is going to be the big difference here. But I've got a feeling this is going to be a long one and a bit of a marathon. So with all that said and the intro done, let's quickly go over the rules. No money is allowed except to pay Rogue and the casino in Dogtown. Iconic items are banned, no glitch or exploits, no cheating or modding, and we're going to be playing on very hard difficulty. So everything sorted, it's time to go on into the game. We start a new game, and of course we pick very hard difficulty, since we kinda have to in these challenges. And then our first big choice. We can't select the nomad lifestyle since we have to pay the border guard, and quite frankly I'm not sure what happens in the city kid lifestyle. I've never played it, but I know that the corporate lifestyle we get money stolen off us, and personally I don't think that's using money per se, since we get the money and then lose it, so we don't use money per se. So we can access the game through the corporate lifestyle. As for our stats, I keep them open, as you never know what the game's going to throw at you, and we don't know our weapon of choice right off the bat. So better to have the option than not. So we start the corporate lifestyle. We do the introduction as normal, and this game makes it feel like an actual job, since our boss is just an evil scheming dick. We go to the bar and corporate workers decide to go ahead and just take our cash. So the intro is almost done, and then we have our first mission. Since we can use whatever we wish, I decide to go ahead and just use stealth as to not alert anyone, and we can just take everyone out one by one. And Jackie is a huge help since he eliminates people too. The boss is then distracted thanks to us having a bit of cyberware, and we just treat him like all the others. So we save the lady, the trauma team is done, we hop in our car with Jackie, and the tutorial is finished. We hit level 2, and I decide to go for some survival upgrades. So we spec into body, unlock health regen since that's always a good choice, and I decide to spec some attribute points into tech, mainly so our health items will come off cooldown, and when we get some levels we can go further into this, but for now all is good and not a dime spent. Now that the game has opened up for us and we're running around naked, yep, you heard that right, I sold my clothes since we might as well start from scratch, only getting the mailing list items and the basic weapons from the start. So with nothing on below and nothing and only a cool body warmer, it's time to get to work. Look at our guy here, he is amazing. We do some police assaults to get some levels, and after a couple of instances we do level up. I opt for using weapons that benefit the reflex tree, since revolvers and throwing knives seem like a good match, since we can become the gunslinger of the old west in Night City. And now that does sound like a really cool thing, I must say, so why not? We go around and do a few police assaults, and it's not too bad, and grenades are amazing since they attract the attention of the police, and we can get them clearing out assaults for us, and we mop up the crumbs since they did such a good job. It's quite early, so a tactically engineered crossfire is always a good thing. Our XP does suffer a little bit, but it also keeps us alive, letting us get some experience from the remaining enemies, so can't argue with that. And the loot is all ours too, which is the important thing. We stop off at a place T-Bug recommended, and as you can see, this place gives us a free Netrunner piece. I did double check just to make sure it's free, and it is. So we pick it up, and after that it's back to doing more police assaults as we're trying to get level ups here. But we go on a rampage, just destroying anyone we come into contact with, and our thrown weapons do hefty damage. I have to say it is pretty awesome, and the combat in this game is fantastic, and why I love cyberpunk. But after some rounds with the enemies, we do get a couple of level ups, and we go for a perk to strengthen our health items called Transfusion. So our last health item gives plus 30% more health. After that, it's back to causing more mayhem again in Night City. We go around and we try to do stealth since throwing knives are pretty cool, and we do get a couple of stealth kills, so that's something. But it quickly descends into a gun and knife fight. But I've got to say, the hand-to-hand only run was pretty straightforward. This run, it's turning into an amazing time. Loving this gun and knife throwing playstyle, it's just so much fun. We get a couple of perk points, so we go ahead and grab 2 points of health free, so our healing items are more effective in battle, and outside of battle for that matter. And then we keep clearing assaults, and we hit the absolute jackpot since we find some sideway in a chest. We end up in a chase with the Night City police, and then we decide to get an armoured vehicle and just block their way. And well, you can just look and see how many of them there are. They're swarming our position, but we managed to say hi to Jackie before being flatlined. We go say hello to Jackie afterwards, and he says Dexter Deshawn is around. So we go to Vix, and he gives us some basic upgrades for free. It's not much, but every little helps, and we also install our cyberware. This will help our throwing knives and revolvers as it increases across the board, so all is well. We decide to take a ride with Dexter Deshawn, foreshadowing future events, although his car is looking really nice. After our ride with Dexter Deshawn, we're back on foot, and it's a little bit more grinding to get bits and pieces, so it's time to start crafting. First thing up is throwing knives, since they have a 200% headshot multiplier. We also craft the baseball bat, since it's going to come in handy for us. We go to a cyber psycho, and it's not too bad, since I've learnt a trick or two in melee from my hand-to-hand challenge run in Cyberpunk. Got to say, it sharpened the old skill set in melee, so this fight is relatively easy, since he does have a Sandevistan, but as long as we can time it, we win. And he can deal huge amounts of damage, but a common baseball bat and a good amount of timing, and we can just keep countering his melee attack. So this cyber psycho is done for. After a few more assaults, we get a tier 2 revolver, so things are looking pretty decent now, and we also hit level 10 in our dust up, so it's time to start speccing into pistols. We get focus that gives us 10% more headshot damage and weak spot damage. We also have all of our passive healing perks, our survival is doing pretty well, can't really fault it. We then start the main story with Maelstrom. It goes relatively well until I accidentally fired a shot, and everything went hostile and shiz hits the fan. It was tons of fun, as we can be a knife-throwing, revolver-toting gunslinger cowboy thing, and it was just absolutely phenomenal. And the enemies even get a baseball bat to the face, because why not? Since all of this action is just fantastic. And when we get to Roy's meeting place, it's more baseball bat action, and we managed to find a tier 3 crafting spec for a power pistol. So win-win right there. And after everything is looted, we gain a level. So we grab the second level of focus, and now we can enter focus mode. So there's no stamina cost for shooting, and when it ends we get a minus 40 stamina, and we put it to use through the facility. The fighting is very rough and tough, and Jackie gets in the way, but hey, at least he's a bullet sponge if nothing else. And we get to use all of our skills here, and when everything begins to settle down for a breather, we have just enough materials to make our tier 3 pistol and get it in working order, so we're in good shape. Eventually we get to Royce, and we decide he doesn't need his henchman, so we kill him. And the fight with Royce is actually very straightforward. He has a shield and a railgun and will occasionally charge in, but we have our pistol, so it's just putting rounds into him really. And when we adapt, we can start headshotting him one after another, doing ridiculous damage thanks to our tier 3 pistol. Roy doesn't really pose a challenge, nor does he have any finesse, so we decide to end him with a throwing knife through his skull, teaching him a lesson. When he's defeated, we get our first iconic item, Chaos, and as you can see, iconics can be improved to higher tiers, hence why they're banned this run, since we could just get a tier 5 right out the get-go with enough grinding. We exit the building though and talk to Jackie, then we vamoose out the place, and Dexter Deshawn is happy with us, but we'll need a few bits and pieces since the next story mission is going to be really tough, but we can get the preparations done, so it's off to see Judy and Evelyn. But we do level up and get another perk called Deep Breath, so things slow down when we aim with focus. We're starting to earn our stripes as a gunslinger, and when we arrive, Evelyn escorts us to Judy and she introduces us to brain dances, aka other people's virtual realities. So we do some side gigs with Regina and go get a naughty boy, so we kill all his men in a nightclub and even find some nice cyberware in a cupboard, so it's more than worth it, absolutely. And we get our man and we're going to start going out and lob him in the back of his car, so everything's good. Go to a Rippatoc to install all of our cyberware that we found in the world, and it's looking good. Although not optimized, we have a lot of space, but that's okay since we've got something in our cyberware at least. Anywho, we go ahead and take out a couple of cyber psychos. We don't get anything useful, so it's time we press on and we meet Dexter Deshawn. We gather up for the next mission and we are whisked away to a corporate hotel, which will turn into a bloodbath. But we go in and the tech we snatch from Maelstrom is deployed. It's pretty much a glorified camera game, but when all is said and done, we have to go up and unlock the chest in the penthouse where Keanu Reeves, aka Johnny Silverhand, is being held. So after some story events and seeing Adam Smasher, who is a walking tank, but besides all that, we can't grab the pistol in the hotel room. Sadly, it's an iconic. Normally, there's a lot to be gained from here, but we can't take any iconic weaponry, but we take some cool looking clothing and head to the roof since we need something to be able to fight off the enemy. So we go upstairs, there's 2 guards, and we go ahead and stealthily take them out since we'll need their weapons. We go ahead and do a leap of faith in the literal sense and crash through some glass, and Jackie takes a shard, and we go ahead and take 2 more guards out. Then we scrap what we can and use most of our materials to make our tier 3 pistol again, and we attach a silencer to it with a sight, so we're back to familiarity. We use stealth to our advantage. Also, I respec our build by taking points out of some areas and getting all 3 points into Deadeye, letting us get some much needed headshot damage at the cost of a couple of survival perks. And a really good perk here is Killer Instinct, giving 25% more damage, and more importantly, if we can one-shot someone, as you can see, the results are just spectacular since we can utilize stealth here and avoid overwhelming firepower in our direction whilst also playing to our build strength. The enemies have some pretty nice equipment, including a knife, so we're operating at full capacity now. As we go through the hotel, the enemies are not doing too well against us, but our luck gets even better as we get our first smoke grenade. Now, interestingly enough, these don't break stealth, so we can use them to disorient enemies and get multi-kills, like right here for example. It works with our build extremely well and it disorientates them, letting us get the upper hand, and we're sort of becoming the Night City Ghost of the West at this point. Dunno, just sounds really cool if I'm quite honest with you, but we sweep up the rest of the enemies since we can off them one by one, and the bigger the units, we can grapple and click them like a bad chiropractor. After the last enemy is down, we get the key card and just take to the elevator. Here we could go into Delamain, but instead I decide to use smoke grenades to carefully grab each of these guys and make them no longer a problem, or as Mortal Kombat would say, a fatality. So smoke grenades cover us as we pull them out and become one with the wind, like a Ghost of the West. And only one man is left, so we just break the silence and take him out, and he's none the wiser. All in a day's work. So we get to Delamain and everything is going good, and it's time to start the chase sequence. And it's not too bad thanks to our suited up pistol, but unfortunately the scene of Jackie plays, and I swear this hits me in the gut every time. Jason Hightower, you did an amazing job voicing Jackie here, and credit where credit is due. We decide to send Jackie to his mother as this will be important later. For now, we go and see Dexter Deshawn, and well, he's a massive dick, and he tries to dispose of us, but it goes incredibly wrong. Cut to the title screen, we now get to play as Johnny Silverhand. For these sections, we get to play them as intended, no faux pas or anything here, so it's all good. So it all goes as planned, and things are looking as they should, but we say hello to Adam Smasher, so hello Adam Smasher, and we're wheeled off to the corporations as everything burns, so standard Johnny Silverhand stuff. though we meet Johnny Silverhand in what I can only say is a crossover to the Matrix. We reboot in a trash pile, Takamura comes to our rescue, he kills Dr. Sean, hence he's one of my favourite characters, and now our chase sequence begins. It's relatively the same as the Arasaka drone and not too much different, so it's all good. After everything happens, we get Vic patch us up, and once we meet Johnny in a frankly very frantic demeanour, we take our meds, wake up in the shower, then get our gear sorted and meet Takamura at a diner. After that, Johnny jumps in to draw a line in the sand and we're now free to explore all of Night City and the game has opened up to us. I do have plans to go to Dogtown, but we have to get our perks and build in order first, which is not a problem. But earlier we sent Jackie's remains to his mother, and this is quite important since we can't buy a vehicle and our vehicle isn't available since Delamain has his side quest going on. But we decided to go to Mama Wells and she lets us take part in the funeral and is the dotting mother, a true lady in her own right. She gives us a key to Jackie's garage. Gotta be honest, this mission has kind of made me a touch emotional as Jackie is an NPC done right. We gather some mementos up and attend the funeral. We hear some pretty cool speeches. Vic's one in particular is my favourite one and is pretty cool. We get Mama Wells giving us the keys to Jackie's bike. Exactly what we're after since our vehicle is out. So this is very fitting. Now we have a vehicle, we can go perk shard hunting. So in real life, I open up a perk shard guide, get on our bike and it's time to go and get them. So explore the Badlands as there's a few perk shards up for grabs around here, relatively easy pickings for us, and we'll need to up the ante to scale our skills and abilities accordingly. Certain enemies are very difficult, but the smoke grenades is saving us big time, and honestly, I think a lot of people are sleeping on this grenade. It can be devastating in the right circumstance, especially stealth, and lets us sort of do a viable strategy with stealth in mid-combat. So I think this is working, so going to keep it around. We take on another cyber psycho, this time a actress who decides to do the same thing, but we do most of the fight and hide behind a pillar and just use smoke grenades and keep shooting her. I try a couple of silencers we got, and honestly that doesn't really make a difference, so opt for the extra sneak damage. It's nice to know, but we bash her with our pistol and we get an alive cyber psycho who gives us some cyberware. Always nice to have since we can't spend money, but we hunt most of the perk shards we need without too much trouble. And well, you can see we dished out a lot of points and Deadeye is pretty serious now, and our knives are going to hit like a truck. So our damage is looking pretty damn good. We just need a couple of weapon mods for our pistol and some tier 3 knives and we're set for the rest of the run. We go to Mox's bar and Judy looks adorable, but we need to know what happened to Evelyn Parker, and the sooner the better. So Judy gives us the address to Clouds. We move on out and we see some tiger claws, take them out no problem. Our knives are doing great, so we move on in, and once our gunslinging, knife throwing fight is done, we decide to go up the lift, and after a brief chat with Johnny, we go to Clouds. Then we hit a wall, a pretty big one at that, so we have to pay 500 eddies. If we do this, that fails the challenge. This isn't good, so we are basically locked out of the main quest. But as long as we get an ending, we can still complete this challenge. So our only hope is Phantom Liberty, and we're going to go there anyway, so might as well. But with everything playing out the way that it has, I can't gain access to Phantom Liberty on this playthrough. This is really bad, so extreme times call for extreme measures. I go ahead and start a new game, our character looking very much the same, and select as Phantom Liberty start. We select the correct difficulty, very hard difficulty, and so all is good. I'll try my best to get us back to the build we had, and there is a trade-off however, and that's that we have different cyberware. Some pretty nice reinforced tendons, so not going to complain one bit there, that is a huge game changer, but we have our weaponry that we had but a tier lower, and I ditched the mantis blades as we weren't using them in our original build, and that seems a little bit unfair to have them, and we ditched most of the cyberware that we wouldn't have had, and overall we still have it as a bit of a downgrade from what we had, but we're starting from a different place, and some reinforced tendons is always good. We're trying to get our loadout again, but before all that it's time to get the perk shards all over again, so through the power of editing I shall see you in a minute. Welcome back everybody, we're here and our build is pretty much back to where it was, and we're level 18. I managed to get all the perk shards, so we're all locked and loaded. We have double jump thanks to reinforced tendons, but all in all we're back to where we were, and our guy has a cool prosthetic about him. Gotta say, big fan of it. So we go meet Songbird, and it's time to start Phantom Liberty. We still haven't spent a dime, so let's hope that we can get an ending in Phantom Liberty, and this is quite the unexpected turn. What's more is Songbird speaks to us and unlocks the relic for us as we manage to use a smuggler's entrance. We've been practicing quite a bit on our stealth, so this is child's play. Also, as a side note, this is the first time I'm doing the Phantom Liberty DLC, so kind of excited yet don't know what's going to happen. Anyway, we get into a sort of graveyard area and do some platforming. It's actually a pretty cool area, and we even find an upgraded healing item, so things are looking good, and the story is intriguing. But the game decides to show us that what we're missing with our cash, and well, this was my reaction. Power revolver. The rub salt in the wound, it fires explosive rounds. Oh, no. There are iconic weapons for sale and even plans with pistols with explosive rounds, but as per the rules, we can't buy anything, and if I look any longer, I'm going to get sad. So we press on with the challenge to not spend a single penny. We do get a slight power up thanks to the relic and spec into vulnerability analysis, so we get extra crit chance and armor pen, and we can even target enemies' weak points that does hefty damage. But we eventually see the president's aircraft shot down by Dogtown, and well, an all-out street warfare ensues, but we remember our manners, people, and drive the car accordingly, and not only get to our destination, but deal with some ruffians. We climb the crane and start more fighting, and our playstyle is doing great as we one-shot the riffraff, and eventually we get to more riffraff, but one of them drops a tier 3 chef knife. So now we're cooking with gas, and our smoke grenades let us just take on whole patrols, so the fighting isn't really a problem, but what is a problem is the president isn't too kind and has the audacity to strike us. But with all things considered, T is nowhere to be seen, and it's understandably a war zone, so we get up and get to it after evading the enemy and throwing knives like Gordon Ramsay go into their faces. We get to the part where we face many enemies, and this part took a few tries since we have to utilise our healing items and our knives to heal. So when it blows over, the cutscene happens and the Chimera isn't happy, but Songbird loses control and well, it's not great. Now we start the Chimera fight, and well, gotta say, this is a really tough fight. We scan it and we have to shoot its weak spots to start, but it does really heavy damage and absolutely can one-shot us if we're not careful. Since we're not armed to the teeth and specialised in stealth, you can kind of guess how this went since we're dodging lasers, rockets and Gatling guns. Oh my. It's quite the turn of events, but after a dozen tries and managing to defeat the repair drones and attack drones it spawned, we destroy all its weak spots, so we can just damage it now. It's an absolute juggernaut and has so much health. But I find these nice crates that make it hard for the missiles to hit us, and sure enough, it's then defeated in style. After going through more small talk with the president, later on we get 2 guys barge in. We could kill them, but 2 extra people for afternoon tea is always good. As remember people, sharing your tea is excellent. Then Myers makes us a special agent, so we are literally Special Agent V. That's pretty damn cool, to be fair. We're tasked with finding someone and I have to use a phone, so after going and getting a fuse box sorted, we hop on our way back down, and I can't resist just shooting more people. Then we input the number and get a mysterious guy who wants to meet us at the basketball court. So we do exactly that, and I look around, and for some reason he prompts us not to look. Naturally, I spoil the surprise and look, and we get a KO, so well done game for thinking of that. We wake and this gentleman knows his manners, people. He's playing nice now, which is very refreshing. We have our reunion and making a gang of some kind now in this apartment, but hey, all's well that ends well. We dance because this expansion is pretty damn cool and it's awesome, so thank you CD Projekt Red, because you have now allowed us to dance. We have to wait for a couple of days for Reed to call, so I decided to just go ahead and go for lots of airdrops, since that's the best way we're going to get new gear around Dogtown. We could leave at any point, but they also might have cyberware in them, and that's what we're counting on, since our defense is pretty bad. Whilst our next airdrop doesn't go as planned, I do find a new pistol that has hefty damage, that's a nice find, and after a few airdrops, it's apparent there's a small bug that doesn't let us loot. However, simply logging out the game and logging back in solves this problem. We then get the next airdrop and the damn thing drops the perfect weapon for our build, but it's a gosh darn iconic. I'm really starting to feel that rule. After a few airdrops, we're not getting the cyberware we want, but we are getting some nice experience, so can't argue with that, and it's quite a lot of fun just terrorising Dogtown as a special agent. But I take a break and go see a couple of cyber psychos. The first one is we've already faced her before, and for some reason a throwing knife can be non-lethal to the face. How? Cyberpunk, I suppose, but it's pretty good, and we get a piece of cyberware, and then we explore around the world in Night City, and after running around for a while, we get a pretty amazing bit of kit that we found in a chest, as it will help with detecting enemies. Here's our cyberware going in, just to show you what we've got and found in the world, and that we can get them fitted accordingly without paying a dime. And now they're all fitted, we are looking pretty good and have everything we need to complete this challenge. The Sandevistan is a huge step up in power for us, and to be frank with you, I've actually never used one, so might as well give it a go. So we see Alex and Reed, they both hit it off nicely, we do our corporate job of cleaning things up, and then it's the part where we use our Sandevistan for the first time, and oh my word, yes, it's exactly the power boost we needed and so much fun to use. Oh my gosh, it's amazing. So we test our newfound powers in the server room in the main story quest full of Voodoo boys, and it goes fantastically, absolutely brilliantly. It's beautiful, beautiful carnage, people, and more carnage happens in the story as Songbird destroys Slider, who is a netrunner, but she gives us the information we need and we're good to go. Reed isn't so sympathetic, but we learn the black hole is being used, and that is how Songbird is communicating with us. So we speak to Reed, we have to get inside the big tower where the big bad is, as Songbird is inside, and we start doing Mr. Hand's quest. First is cleaning a church full of scabs. It's really simple as we do our normal James Bond approach, and our throwing knives are just fantastic, making short work of them. It's at this point I also jump outside Dogtown for a little bit to get a pistol, because we can make it an absolute beast. So all we have to do is solve this NCP marker on the map, so we do that in a jiffy and use our stealth tactics. We use our chiropractor classes, and this person is out for the count. And look, a epic Unity pistol crafting spec. We craft it since that's the backbone of this playthrough and mod it with everything we need. Now let's face the Terminator army. This battle is mainly us using our throwing knives, and well, the enemy is continuously respawning, so it's timing the termination of the Terminator. Forgive the pun there, people. But with our Sandy, we just hit the weak points, and eventually we do, and we speak to this gentleman, and he gets in the way of our duties, so gets executed along with his buddy. We are a professional after all, and we are doing this job for Mr. Hands, who is also a professional. This time we help a cop and get her two buddies out. She explains in the car with the seat down as she's paranoid of being seen at the building across from the road, and we go in and have a cleanup on Isle Police Station, since our pistol is really good now and even has a mod with a small chance of setting people on fire, like this person here for example. Isn't that a delight? We find the police duo and they are like children, and got to say, love these input in this. This is just right in a comedy show, quite frankly. Anyway, the enforcer is here. He got a nice look about him, but he gets more chiropractor treatment for us. A good old neck click. And his backup just can't match us. So their history. Mr. Hands then graciously meets us to hand over the plans in person, so things are looking pretty nice. He's a marvellous gentleman, I have to say, and a pleasure to do business with. We see Reed and Alex. They show us the route for our mission, and I'm getting Fallout 4 vibes here, but we get to enter a toxic sewer tunnel, but at least they give us a diving suit this time, so that's pretty nice. We get the last of our preparations and start swimming in the tunnel whilst wearing the diving suit. Eventually we take out some guards and get to the turret segment waiting for Reed. It's actually quite boring since we're waiting on an NPC and a patrol is incoming. Apparently this sniper was equipped with a silencer, but taking out the NPCs prematurely certainly livens this part up, as you can see here. We suit up and see Songbird, and she's meant to be a prisoner, and she is, but she's also living the high life. The main antagonist shows up, and we split ways. Then the game wants us to get poker chips. Now, I did say in the rules that we are not allowed to spend money, but this is one of the rules. I ruled this since it is someone else's money we're using, and if we're doing the main story, we have to pay Rogue anyway. So the Phantom Liberty DLC, this is the part where we have to spend money. So with that out the way, We then go to the twins and then we have to play poker with them. We get them talking and I go for the middle lane answers and it seems to work, and our chips are taken off us as the twins win. So this is the perfect outcome for us because we can't use any of the money. Fantastic. Hansen then confirms our suspicions about Songbird as she willingly went to him. So she's pretty much betrayed everybody for her own ends to get the relic. In my mind, this makes her the antagonist. So we wait for Reed for a day and get back to business since we have everything we need to complete the challenge. When everything is set, we get to jacking in some transmitters and Songbird is on the line. She upgrades our relic, so we decide to upgrade our cloaking so we can now disengage at will. Anytime we activate optical camo, we can evade the enemy sight and reset the battle so we can go back to headshotting from the shadows. It is absolutely wonderful to have and absurdly broken. We go back to the main story and we have to go to a Ripper dock and get a new implant. Reed gets everything set up for us and gives us a reference, so it's all on the house. Awesome. Then once that's all done, we go to a point and see a traffic intersection and we have to stare at cars and that like a traffic cop searching for our marks. We then track the marks and then we get to their car and we climb in their boot and we hack the car from within. It goes splendidly as it's all chaotic and they scream and it's really cool. We then do our thing in the garage so it's all coming together and we assume the identities of them people we played poker with. We go into the stadium. Now I keep the file of our guy up as we speak to Colonel Hansen and answer impeccably. Once that's done, we have a choice as we meet Songbird. We can either betray Songbird, and frankly, Songbird has backstabbed us so many times, so I decide to work with Reed and betray Songbird. So yeah, this choice isn't really that tough at all. Songbird then gets very, very angry and tries to do her thing, and it doesn't really go over that well with anybody. But now it's time for us to get out of here, and the game says we're unarmed, but I think not, since we can craft our pistol again, slap onto mods, and go to town on the enemies. It's pretty difficult, but we do manage it, no problem. We still have our optical camo and it's our most powerful tool combined with the relic, since we can just disengage and go back to our stealth gameplay even mid-battle. That's right, we can just disengage mid-battle when the enemy don't know what the hell to do, making us a very fearsome opponent. Even when enemies are up in our grill, we reset and chip away at them. It's pretty darn cool and a real headache for the enemy as we get a continuous get out of jail free card. As you can see, it really makes us OP. However, now we have the boss fight with Colonel Hansen, and this isn't as bad as you would think. Sure, we could stealth kill him, but he's a military man, so he does deserve to be fought on an even footing. So all we have to do is run laps and stagger him with the throwing knife. The game even has a moment where he can pretty much take us down to a single value hit point. It's scripted and quite tense actually, but as long as we have our healing items and our Sendevistan, we can continue running laps around the boss arena. It's quite a simple fight, and if things get really bad, we just use our camo, but we only need it to use it once, and then we pull our pistol, and in the turn of events we execute him like a boss. And he has some really nice loot which we can't use since it's all iconic, but it's nice to know it's there for future playthroughs. We go with Reed, everything plays out, MaxTac takes Songbird, and when she's in their custody we go ahead and call a netrunner from our corpo days. When we meet them, it's easy as pie, so we're good to go and it's very straightforward. So this is the finale and this is how we look, pretty beefed up in the skill trees, and also same as ever with our sideware. Unfortunately, I didn't get into the locker with escaping Colonel Hansen's fort, so we'll have to make do with our weaponry. So it's time to finish this challenge with the final cell of missions, and I can't wait to see the conclusion. So we hollow with Reed and he's got the 6th Street gang helping us out. Got a bad feeling about this, but if we can take on a Chimera, then this shouldn't be too difficult. So speak to Reed and it's go time. First off, the road is forcibly closed. Sorry NCPD, you face the wrath of Insane Frame. We then take them out no problem and brute force them without much trouble. And then the boss fight happens. It's just pretty cool actually. MaxTac have 4 officers get out the truck, and then Reed manages to snipe them. He's going to be in this fight and provide sniping support. And before long, we then get our first MaxTac officer that we go against, the Netrunner, because he's a problem. And before long, he's actually defeated thanks to many headshots, so GG. Then next up is Mantis Blade officer, and we just keep headshotting them as Reed stuns the MaxTac officer, so it's all good and we can just chain the hits as they come on in. We use the Sandevistan and it's pretty much a knockout. The last 2 are simple since we can just chain throwing knives as Reed stuns them with the sniper, so we just stun lock shock them, and it was pretty much over for the pair of them. GG. Then Songbird decides enough is enough, and our gut was right, since she has gone full villain mode on us, since she lied and betrayed everyone in the process, saying she was a prisoner whilst living the life of luxury and not giving Reed a chance. So yeah, things aren't adding up. We go after her, and what you know, she's gone into a top secret military base, courtesy of Militech. Now, Songbird, normal people don't do that, so please just have some tea with us and we can talk this out. But she's adamant about her motives as she addresses us on the computer screen. So we chase after her, and it's becoming more and more like a Five Nights at Freddy's crossover in Cyberpunk, and I'm actually kind of digging this horror vibe. It's really cool. We see this weird machine called the Cerebus, and it wants us dead. So yeah, we disable the three systems. It's not too difficult, but we get ourselves through. It's just more common sense than anything, and Songbird's backstory is on display, and to be fair, it's actually fairly well done, but she just feels like an irredeemable character in my opinion, and since she's in the same situation as V, she pretty much just betrays everyone she comes across. But we have to avoid the Cerebus, and it's immortal and can kill us in one shot. But when we hide, we get to the command block and cue the ridiculously long Songbird cutscene. At this point, it's nearing the end of the challenge. Well, it's really good, but we got more challenges to do in future, so we go see Songbird, and I decide to keep on Reed's good side. I mean, he's voice acted by Idris Elba, who's a badass, and helped us, so it's the least we can do. We get the ending where Songbird is alive, Reed is unsure, and the president gives us a medal in person for helping her. Even though the credits roll, there's a couple of things we need to do to complete the challenge. Reed lets us know and thanks us, and then calls us after a day. We go to the top of Missy's shop, and the game lets us know it's the point of no return. And well, we get to the clinic. Johnny is not very happy about it, but we cure ourselves and then go back to Night City with Delamain to see Vic. We get our ass handed to us by a no-name guy, but see Missy, and she says goodbye. And we're now a regular in Night City, but still alive. Ending the challenge, answering the question, can you beat Cyberpunk 2077 with no cash? And yes you can. It was a long road, but we finally did this challenge with the credits and our contacts speaking to us for realsies. So there you go. Alright, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. I got to say I completely botched this challenge with Clouds, not realising we'd have to pay to go in. I did try and sneak in, which you can, but it doesn't let you complete the quest. So I thought it was fair we could buy the casino chips in Phantom Liberty rather than pay Rogue. So I had the same result, and you know, a one-time payment in either Phantom Liberty or the main game. I thought it was kind of fair, like we could go either ways, hence I ruled it from the start. But crafting became a staple this run, and getting that pistol from the Tiger Claw pretty much saved us, and I did wait and grind levels as that was all part of the plan, but I didn't know when it would come in handy. I was hoping the airdrops could give us a little bit more use, but it is what it is. They mainly drop iconics, and that rule right there, no iconics this run, oh boy did it make it difficult. But I will say, not having iconics really did suck sometimes, but we did it and it was all the sweeter. For our next challenge, we are going to XCOM. We're going to rock up and we're going to go with a Skirmisher, one of the faction classes. I've actually really wanted to try Skirmisher since they have a lot of utility, but I'm dreading facing the Chosen with a Skirmisher, so that's going to be quite the challenge right there. Anyway, I hope you all enjoyed the video. Thank you so much for being here and watching. You're all fantastic. I hope it wasn't too long for you since I had to stop halfway in the main story and start a different campaign and all that, but it all worked out once again. So thank you, and thank you for watching. Also, I'm thinking of making a Discord server. Let me know what you all think, and yeah, thanks for watching. Have a great time, enjoy the rest of your days. Please look after yourselves, stay safe out there, and I hope you have a fantastic night. I've been Insane Frame, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Bye bye for now, see you in XCOM.